Yeah, Jordan's in the house. Come on, get up. We're sitting here like this again, talking about what should have been. You roll your eyes like you just don't care. Let's get the check, cause I'm up out of here.
90s.
90s. Now that's cool.
Yeah. Well, no, not here for Oregon. That's extremely hot weather for us up here to
Um,
to
yeah.
to hit like, 97, 98, 99, and 100. We normally don't get those kind of temperatures
Yeah,
up
you
here.
normally don't up there. That is kind of unusual. I know for somebody that says there ain't no that there's no climate change issue.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
Freaking
Yeah,
we
so
had a
yeah.
couple of freaking what was it? We had a couple of 100-degree days already this year. Where freaking it was only supposed to hit like 90, and then the next thing you know, it hit 95, 97. Next thing you know, it's 100 degrees, and we're just like, why?
Yeah, it's
This is freaking Oregon. I moved here because it's supposed to be cooler than it is
cooler.
in Texas. But the past few years, it really doesn't seem like it's really been that much cooler than it has been in Texas in the summer times. I mean, granted, we get the rain, we get the breaks with the rain and everything else. So, we don't have like a typical winter. But when it gets hot like this to where, they're having heat warnings for multiple days, and it's just like, this is ridiculous. Like, this
Do
is Oregon.
you have just a central air or do you have swamp cooler? What do
Oh,
what's
freaking, I
your
got
heat?
freaking two freaking air conditioning units in the main portion of the house, and then I got one in the back portion of the house. We're good.
Okay. All right. So yeah, I
And then
know
the
it
kids
was
got the,
100 and
then the kids got the pool. So,
105 here, 105 here yesterday. The last year I got 108. Palm Springs just over the hill.
hmm
Palm Springs temperature's been like 109 to 110. It's going as high as 115. I've been there 115. It's not humid, it's dry, but it's
hmm
still hot. It's just like
yeah,
still like being inside an oven, like 400 degrees. That's what it almost feels like. So,
yeah. The
um,
I can legitimately say the worst place that I ever stayed or was ever at before, as far as like the heat, with the bad humidity as well, would be Arizona. I
right.
spent some time in Arizona, and that was just unbearable. I mean, it'd be 4 o'clock in the morning, and it's unbearable at 4 o'clock in the
Yeah,
morning.
in Phoenix, I think it was 115 yesterday.
Sounds about
Yeah,
right.
115. Nope, nope, no interest in
Sounds
it.
about right.
I'm good here, but I would like to be by the water and beach, but that water and beach price that comes with a price here, California.
Yeah.
That's for sure. So, how's your surgery? How did that come out? I
Uh,
saw the
uh,
pictures, so I
yeah,
was
yeah.
up.
Freaking surgery came out fine. I go back Wednesday, I think it is Wednesday, for them to see if they can go ahead and remove the external pins that's still in here and everything else. Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Here, let me
Yeah,
show
you
you.
said external pins because I saw the little plate. Was
So
that
you're right.
on the outside?
So like you saw what's on the inside of my
Oh,
arm.
okay, that's on the inside.
I will show you what is still on here. I'll send you that pic. That's what's still on the outside. So when I take off all of my
Oh,
bandaging, that's what's up under my bandaging. So I still have so like that's why I haven't been back to work yet.
you don't
Because
have a cat? Do you? They didn't put a cast. You don't have a cast on, do you?
no,
You don't.
um, just it was just gauze and freaking ace wrap, and then I have a brace that I put on after all
Okay,
that. But
right.
so that's what's still going on.
Okay,
So that is still uh yeah. So I go in Wednesday to see whether to see how she's doing, and then I'll know whether or not they can remove that and remove my stitches and see if I'm ready to go back to work after that. Because that's the
right,
main reason why I haven't went back to work. If everything was just internal, I'd have been back to work.
right,
No ifs, ands, or buts. But when you got post still sticking out of your arm, for various reasons, I'm not going
right.
back until those are
Yeah,
gone. Um,
right.
just from a sanitation prospect of it, like what I'm saying, I know and trust everyone that's in my house, in my circle, and everything else. Going back to work would expose me to other people and other elements that I don't know how they take care of themselves and everything else. And with having something still exposed, I'm like,
Yeah,
yeah, it's best if I just keep my butt at home because I know if I'm at home, I'm not gonna do anything. I can limit the chance of anything happening. And not only that, because of that, that's why I've been in so much pain. It's not just an internal thing. My body is also having to deal with the fact of, buddy, you got things sticking out of you.
Sure. Yeah.
So,
So,
like, yeah,
all right, yeah. Like on the last episode, I just mentioned about the fact that you had to do your surgery because we mentioned that, so I just kind of
yeah,
left it at that. I didn't do all the little sharing on those, but I'll probably edit in some of those. This, but now that I have this, so
yeah.
that I mean,
So,
if you're
like,
okay with
you
me
got all of it.
doing
Yeah,
that,
yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm
okay.
fine with
All
that.
right, so then like on this segment here, what I'm going to do is actually go ahead and show on the screen
Yeah.
exactly what it looked like, the one pictures that you sent me, and then also on this what's going
Oh
on.
yeah.
And
Go
and so
for
we'll
it.
just do that and put that on here as part of the segment. So what I did last time, because you weren't here, but that's okay. So was that the last segment that we did together was actually going over and discussion about building a men's health legacy. And
Hmm.
part of that was actually a full disclosure on my part of about my health and my health issues and problems and stuff, and also to address that the fact that I decided to wake up because as we were going through the charts, we were seeing that the doctor was seeing it, and the doctor was telling me everything was okay, even though
Right.
there was things abnormal. And if it wasn't to the point that I decided to take action on my own, to take personal responsibility for my health, to be preventive, that I was able to look at those. And sometimes it was really scary, especially that thing on the cholesterol.
Oh
That
yeah. Yeah.
cholesterol for 10 years. People die. People
Yeah.
die from heart attacks and everything else because of the high cholesterol and everything.
Yep.
Okay.
And he didn't say a
And
word.
it's like the especially for families. So my dad, so besides prostate cancer, my dad, because he used to love to bowl, he was always bowling with the postal service. So he wound up having a stroke while he was bowling.
Oh, good grief.
Okay, so he was bowling and started having chest pains and everything else that was going on. Uh, and that's how he died. Now my mom, she died when my junior year. I came back home for Christmas break on my junior year at Annapolis, and she went out for New Year's Eve, and she
Mhm.
went out. So that was when my mom and dad had split up. Uh, she had a new boyfriend, and they were going out to I'm not a Fourth of July, a New Year's Eve party over my with all my relatives. So they
Right.
were so they were over at the big White House
Yeah.
over there on Trindley Avenue. They were having a party with it. And normally that's how they got together. When they're partying, they were normally just getting together, having drinks and playing bid whist. That
Right.
was a party. That was entertainment back then.
Yeah.
Uh,
Get some
and so
freaking vinyls playing.
she came back. She went out, and I had a disagreement with my mom. I was really upset. I didn't like the fact that my mom and dad were getting divorced.
Right.
And I'm up at 21, so I'm up at think I'm grown, okay? And I don't know crap, okay? I didn't know crap about anything about relationships and dare me say the words, oh well, I ain't gonna do that. What happened to you? Well, yeah, right. Just give yourself some years and you'll see. So anyway, so she wound up going out and come back, and the next morning, she was up here just complaining about headaches, like migraines. I thought it was like a migraine um, headache, but she was just doing it, and then she went to the I guess the emergency room, went to the emergency room, and she came back, and she wound up having they gave her some medication. Okay,
Right.
so I'd only met her boyfriend briefly, because I was going to school. I was in Annapolis.
Right.
I'm 2,000 miles away, so I don't know what's going on every day. But anyway, so she's there with headaches and stuff, and then um, they wind up giving the medication and stuff, and then I um, wind up taking care of her. So I was still on my leave. I didn't have to be back into the 7th. So that was New Year's Day, the 1st. And so I'm taking, but the medicine or her state and her condition was that she was kind of like so whacked out of it that I had to get up to take her to the bathroom. Now that was the new experience. Okay. I ain't never been in the bathroom with my mom. Okay. But she couldn't walk. And so I had to take her and did that. And then she wasn't getting better. And so we wind up taking her. She wind up the hospital admitted her.
Hmm.
And then it turned out um, that 3 days later, she didn't know who I was.
Mm.
And Kenny was 4 years younger than me. So Kenny was like a junior at CBC, but she didn't recognize me. Okay. And I still fully didn't understand what was going on. That the doctor, if he used the term aneurysm, I don't remember it. I
Right.
just knew my mom wasn't feeling right.
Right.
And then so I'm up here staying, and then I wind up calling back to talk to my company officer, making him aware of the situation that was going on. That my mom was in the hospital, and I was going to ask for an extension. And I said I didn't know for sure, but he said just keep me advised and let me know what's going on.
Right.
And so wind up doing that, but I'm up here sleeping there in the bed. Um, and I remember getting that phone call about 3:45 in the morning from the hospital telling me my mom had passed. And it just hit me. It was like I said, I'm kind of groggy. I'm saying, oh, okay. And I hang up the phone. And it was like, this can't be real.
Right.
Did I really just get that, that call? And then I wind up not even tell, I don't remember even telling Kenny exactly what was going on. So I had my driver's license. I know in the morning I got up and uh, drove down because then I'm sorry, no, I didn't drive her car. I had my car. I had because of the Annapolis, when you become a junior, that they allowed you to get a student. The local dealerships
Hmm.
hook you up and give you a car. I mean, you can buy a car with no
Right.
money out your pocket and making no payments until 6 months after I graduate. But of course, they were charging interest.
Oh, of course.
Of course. But I at that point, did I care? I didn't care because I had me a car I was
Yep.
driving. So uh, you know, that really kind of hit me hard. And then when she died, then I called and they put me on leave. But I still had to get back because now what it was the semester finals was going. So I'm
Mm.
I'm up here 2,000 miles away and I need to do my semester finals for my classes. And so when I came back, I wound up coming back, wind up arranging and getting everything else for my mom's funeral and stuff, and did that really quick. But because my mom and dad was divorced and there was no trust and
Right.
there was no will and there was no power of attorney, as a result of that, that burden went on me. And all of a sudden, I got thrown in the middle of everything.
Mm.
Okay. I had my mom's side was first hitting me up, and they were saying, well, this is your mom's boyfriend, and your mom's boyfriend turns out, then I'm finding out that he was married.
Mm. Good
Okay.
grief.
And he was in the middle about supposedly getting a divorce. And so supposedly he took money and hid it by giving it to my mom to put in the bank account. But his name wasn't on the bank account. And my mom would tell me because he was a friend of the family, if I could go to the bank and give the money and turn it over to him. My response was, nah, nah. I said, I don't have anything in writing and everything else. I
I don't
don't
want
know
no
you,
parts of
blue
that.
damn sky, and I'm not getting money out of that bank account. It was hard enough for me to be able to go and get this stuff out.
Right.
Okay. So, and some of that stuff, I probably don't even want to know exactly what my uncle did. But we did wind up getting it. So I wind up
Right.
going through the arrangements as far as with the bank about getting insurance. I had to do all this stuff at 21. Again, there was no ever any conversations about this type of
Right.
stuff. The outcome was that the biggest lesson learned was that there was no trust, there was no will, there was no power of attorney. Okay. There was no medical power of attorney. So the one thing after my mom died and the lesson that hit, and it took me 2 years. It took me 2 years until I really faced reality that my mom was really dead. I mean, I was still going to traveling in the airports and looking and seeing a woman that looked in the same
Mhm.
stature as my mom. Matter of fact, my mom had changed so much that I should have known something was going on. Uh, was because when she picked me up from the airport, I didn't recognize my mom. This woman walked by me,
Mhm.
and I was up there eyeing this woman, and it turned out she turned around and was my mom. Okay. So she had lost weight. She had changed her hair, changed everything else. And it's just like everything else. You get somebody that's all old, and
Right.
all of a sudden they start changing clothes. I used to have a teacher that swore he wore the same exact outfit every day for 3 years. All of a sudden, he come back during the summer, and he's got long sleeve shirts, got a tie on. His hair is long, but now it's in a bun in the back, all nice and neat. What the heck happened? Yeah, you found
Yeah, he
love.
met somebody.
You met somebody. That's exactly what happened. So that was my first. This was my first dramatic lesson. That lesson learned uh, about in this case a lot of, for instance, as black people or the people of color, that we don't have those conversations.
Mhm.
Okay, and you don't have that conversations, you don't know the problems. But what I did is that right now I have a will, I have a trust, I have a living trust, I have a will. I have power of attorney for medical and power of attorney for my finances and my bank accounts already set up. Okay. I have insurance. Okay. My mom didn't have, she only had something like $4,700, I think, for her insurance that she got from her government job. Okay. So guess what? That went
Burial.
to her burial.
Yeah.
Okay. So there's a difference. Okay. So when she died, there was nothing to be passed on. Nothing. Okay. No conversations, no journal, no anything. Okay. It was that I loved her while she was here and then she was gone. And that's what's happening to the vast majority of black people. Okay.
Yep.
And also people of color. But I just speak about black people from my generation. That's exactly what happened. We go through a life and we're working, maybe get a good education, getting a good job, but we're getting in student debt and everything
Yep.
else. But the end result is when we die, is that nothing. Okay. But now I've learned through my lessons. So I do have a will. I do have a trust. I do have an advanced health things. So I have all those things set up. So when the moment important that I die, everything's already solidified of exactly what needs to be done. Okay. So one of those things, and it, well, this is part of your little lesson of us going through and everything else, is that I intend to probably change who the executor of my state is when I come up to do my new trust. And you want to know who that person's going to be?
This guy?
Yep. Okay. So that's what this thing here is because we're training for all this stuff. But the same thing. So as I do and actually show you these different things in the trust and stuff, you're going to duplicate them initially. You're going to make sure that you're going to go ahead. I'm going to show you how to do it. You're going to go ahead and create the wills for you and Misty. You're going to create a living trust for you guys. We're going to take a look at your insurance and making sure there's enough insurance and stuff to take care of things. Just basically looking at things. But
Right.
when I organize mine, then we're going to organize yours so your house is in order. Okay. This is why this whole thing is about this generational thing. See, right now, I just shared with you a conversation that was concerning the death of my mom that we've never had.
Yep.
Never had. Okay. And out of each lesson or each mistake and everything else, we realized that, and also it's the same thing now we're realizing, see, um, because, and each one had actually gone through, as I look at your brothers, have gone through situations of marriage and divorce. Well, I've been through
Yeah.
my marriages and I've been through divorce. I know how to do the process of the paperwork and stuff to take care of things and keep things in order because I've been through it. I've been through the
Right.
worst. Okay. So, but then it's a lesson that we're talking about doing. So this is kind of leading. So episode 5, when the one we did together was actually I was talking about my health, the history of my health.
Right.
Okay. Last episode that I did, I just finished editing and everything else to be released today. Is going to go out, which is episode 6. Episode 6, what I did, I continued, but what I did was that I shared my personal decisions. So when I saw all the things that was going wrong, I decided to take action, and part of that was changing my lifestyle, changing my exercise routine, changing our diet routine, changing my supplements. The amount of supplements that I take now in comparison to what I used to be, instead of going to the one a day vitamin, that's what I thought I was doing, and everything else that wasn't working on that one D3, I don't. Okay. I'm taking substantially more,
You're
but
right.
I see the results. So it's just like anything else. So why am I spending money on that? Because one, I want to live, okay, because I'm not done yet. Okay.
Right.
We just started this process, but I'm going to make sure that I'm living long enough that I don't have any obstacles in my way before I finish this task. Okay. Because what I'm actually here is building an asset. And that first asset I'm building is you. And out of that asset. So we're going to talk about those things there. So what I did was actually go over all the things that I currently use. One is the ones that specifically support my heart, my
Mhm.
cholesterol, my A1C, and my PSA, and for me also my PTSD, making sure I can get to sleep. So I'm able to eat right. I'm doing my strength training. I'm doing everything right as far as my health is concerned. And this is also with my mental capacity. I'm clicking. I'm sorry, I'm 71 years old, but I'm clicking a lot faster than most 70-year-old folks are doing. Okay, so that brings us down up into this episode. So now what we're going to do is that we're going to actually discuss, and we're going to talk about in general terms about generational wealth. So we're going to go over that briefly about what is generational wealth, what that looks like. Then I want to go over concerning mindset. Okay. Mindset is something that's very critical, and I probably kind of start out with that. That's something we're going to do. Then I'm going to talk about 2 book recommendations that we're going to go over. And so some of those I probably do. So this is, I'm giving examples. So this book goes back to 1985. No, 86, 87, 1987. When I got out of the Marine Corps off of active duty after doing select reserve,
Mhm.
I started getting my license for Series 7 for stockbroker. So I was out in the financial world and everything else. Okay. Not with a government job. So it was
Right.
scary because I was the only breadwinner that was in the family at the time point. So in order to make a lot of people, sales is the one profession that you can get unlimited income. But in order to build a sales career, it takes time because you got to build up your clientele, and then you start to get repeating. Like, for instance, a person who wants to be successful in car sales has got to be able to stay at that same dealership for a minimum of 3 to 5 years before they
Yep.
can really make $100,000. If you can stay in that dealership and stay in contact of maintaining your client base, building
Know
information
that book
about
of
them,
business.
right, and keep on going back and like sending them cards and all that stuff, building that rapport and everything else at the period of about 4 or 5 years, because mainly when it depends. If you're selling cars and you put them into a 6-year contract, it's going to take you 6 years to do it.
Yeah.
Okay. If you're doing them on a lease, if you're building your clientele on the lease, now you're
You'll
getting
see him
them
in about
coming
three
in
years.
every 2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
So if I was going to go into car sales, I would be focusing on lease. I'm going to work and look for business owners and show them the tax advantages of lease. Okay. So that's where you're at. Anyway, there was a book that someone had introduced me. Part of it was my cousin GW, who just recently passed. He gave me a book called Think and Grow Rich. It's a little handbook that I bought. And it was an excerpt out of the main book, which is from, I'm not sure. Can you see it? Ah,
Uh,
not really.
Back up
Okay, a
right there.
little bit right there. So
There
what
you
I'll
go.
do, I'll make sure I edit this up. This is called The Laws of Success, and it's by Napoleon Hill. And it was actually written in 1925. Old book. Okay. And what this is that Napoleon Hill was kind of charged, challenged by Andrew Carnegie, which is one of the richest men in the world at that time point. And what he had to do was go around and actually interview the most successful men in the world at that time. And he was going to interview each and every one so that he could come up with some common traits that was common with all of those men. And that's what he wrote. Okay.
Okay.
So this book is very valuable in my mind. Someone that gave me the book, I didn't read it all the way through. That was a big mistake a lot of times. See, now I read books all the time. Okay. I'm doing book reviews and audio book reviews, at least five those a week in
Right.
comparison now. So, but this is a book that's going to be a must. Okay. And I'm going to wind up sending it to you.
Okay.
Okay. That's one book. That book was given to me in 1985. I have read the most important parts, in my opinion. And one of the parts in here is talks about affirmations. Okay. And that's also connected with mindset. So let me talk about mindset. Okay. Mindset, there's two. You had Carol Dweck from the University from Stanford University, did a study and published a book called The Growth Mindset. And in that book, she talks about there's two different types of thoughts and two different types of people, and what makes successful people successful and failure people are always failures. And it's also talking about our brain doesn't know any different than from the words that are coming out of our mouths. So if you say that you suck, everything always goes wrong. I'm never going to have anything. I'm never going to be rich. I'm because all that. If you keep saying all that crap, your brain believes that shit. And then guess what? That's exactly how your life is going to be full of crap. Plain and simple. Now, I'll use a perfect example of that. Whereas I was a teacher, as a high school teacher at the alternative school, I had students come to me that had failed math for two
Hmm.
and a half years before they came to me. And as a junior, you needed 30 credits, and they had already failed 25 credits. So I had a year and a half to turn them around to do all 30 credits when everybody else had failed. So I would come in and I would give them a diagnostic so I could see where they were
Hmm.
at and do that. That was the one thing I had to learn to, I had to beg, borrow, steal, complain, or whatever to convince the administration to give me money so I can diagnose these kids so I can see where they're at. And they finally believed me. After I became a doctor, then they listened.
Right.
Okay. So I did that. But then the other thing was is that I would give an assessment to my students. I would give them a mindset assessment as a quiz. And you take the quiz and it tells you and gives you a score. It tells you whether you got a fixed or growth mindset. Here's the difference. Fixed mindset means that there ain't nothing you can do to change.
Hmm.
Or no matter what you do, you're still going to be in the same old crapper. A person with a growth mindset realizes that mistakes are part of life and
Yep.
that failures is just stepping stones to success. And the biggest problem is that most people that fail, they always stop short because they're afraid of the failure and they won't keep trying. Okay.
Like for perfect example, like a physical representation of that is this little meme I saw where the guy is digging underground and like he's digging for jewels. And on one side of the meme, you see where the guy hits the jackpot, but on the other side, you see where the guy misses the jackpot because he was literally this close and he gave up right before he broke through
Yeah,
to
well,
it.
right before.
Yep.
Yeah. So that's what the growth and fix. So what I realized that for me to give them math right away was not going to do any good if their stinking thinking was there. So if they were still thinking like I heard the
Hmm.
classic statements come to my classroom. I suck at math. My mom told me that I would suck at math because she sucked at math. They can't help me. I failed every test. I don't like tests. I freak out every time I get a test. There ain't nothing that you can do. That type of crap is what I would hear, what their self-talk. So
Yeah.
the first thing I did was sit them down and had the quiz. And if they scored fixed mindset, because some of those kids I had came in for other reasons. It's not that they couldn't do math. It was that because I had a kid whose mom was in jail. He had two younger brothers and sisters, so he started staying at home because he had to take care of them because there was nobody for babysit or whatever. The guy was a B student, you know. So the end result was that I wind up looking at their score, and if there was a fix, I would send them, and the first thing they had to do was to take this mindset course to unprogram the crap so that they could understand that it's possible for them to change. And
Right.
once they got a level on that, then and only then would I put them in the math class. So you know what happened when I did that process. That little change. It used to be they would come in, and if they failed 25 credits, the first
Mhm.
thing that the old math teachers would do was put them in the math 1A or algebra right off the bat. Just put them back in the algebra class. Okay? That's what they did. I didn't do that. I sit down, get a diagnostics, then I check their mindset, make sure once their mindset is right, where they know that they can change, then I set them down and we look at the diagnostics, and then
Mhm.
we look at their weak areas and we do this together. And then I ask them, would you rather work on fixing your foundation first before we go? Now it says it's going to take some more time, but at least these are good basic skills. And I get an agreement and they
Mhm.
follow. And guess what? The first part, they start slow, but after 6 months, they kick ass. And for most of my students, they were able to come in and within 9 months have them complete all their math
Nice.
and not have a D and not have a C because I didn't accept C's, D's, or F's. They actually scored B's or A's. So that's what mindset is. Okay. The other book talking about mindset. So this laws of success, we're going to use this to come up with our affirmations. Okay. This is going to be something that we're going to generate a statement that what's going to happen is that every morning when you wake up, you're going to read this statement that's created for you. And every night before you go to sleep, you're going to read your affirmation. Okay.
I've done that before with the
Okay.
369 affirmations.
Yeah. And so, but this is going to be focused on creating generational wealth.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. But versus the same thing. So you've done it. So we're going to do this because it's got to be done every day and every night. Okay. That's consistently on it. The other book is this book here. And this
I've
one,
read that.
you read this.
Yeah. I we actually have, I think, like two or three copies of that around the house.
Yeah. So this book here, God, this was probably like the 1990, 1995 when somebody had told me about this book. But I got it and it's set on the shelves. It's set on the shelves. I mean, I've had books like that. You ever had books you bought and then you
Oh yeah.
get it and then you look at it and you put it on the shelf and it just collecting dust.
Oh
But
yeah.
I've done that. Okay, so this is one of those books. I pulled this out here because I had to go take both the caddies to oil change. The wife don't do that. I do that. So I had to take that. So I had to drive about 40 minutes to go take my car to the dealership. So and I knew that they had a recall on one of the cars. So it was going to
Mhm.
take some time. So I took my material. I got there and I did that first chapter in that book, and I said, I'll be damned. I said, and especially what the best part I like about it, matter of fact, I'm going to share my screen on this one. This is the best part that I really liked about that I'm going to share. Let's see, where is it at in Kindle? Okay, this is the part that I liked. And
Oh
this
yeah.
is an eye-opening experience. So this first, this is the income and balance statements.
Oh yeah.
Income versus expenses, assets against liabilities. Businesses use this all the time as far as being able to qualify for loans. But this is the general concept. But what I liked about it was that it was so true. Because in this very first one, it says the cash flow pattern of a poor person. We get a job, we getting it for income. They give us a salary,
Hmm.
and that salary goes straight down here to do what? Expenses.
Yep.
For taxes, paying rent, paying food, paying your transportation and clothes. And for the most part, that's where we would live in paycheck to paycheck. if you weren't getting enough income, then you fall into some of these outside trips. And this is stuff is not in the book, but I'm going to throw it in for the real life. Is that like, for instance, payday loans? Anybody that had to get a payday loan is because that's a signal of a deeper problem that tells you that you don't have enough income to support your expenses. And when you get in that trap, people get that payday loan, and then you're going and getting it one and going back to pay the other and taking
Oh
out
yeah.
another
Oh
one
yeah.
and
And they
going
just get
back
stuck.
and forth. You're in that same rut going in.
And they normally
Okay.
don't get out of it until tax season.
Yes, and don't get out of it. That's right. You don't get out of it. It's that you because you're in that cycle. And the one big thing problem is that when you're in that situation, you don't do what one of the rules were, what I call my Murphy's Law, is that if you're not saving something out of every paycheck,
You're
you're going
wrong.
to be stuck in that. You're going to be stuck in that cycle forever and ever and ever until finally you wake up. And for me, it took 40 years. Really, that's, I've always heard it. Pay yourself first. Pay yourself first. But the reason you pay yourself first so you can get out of that damn rut. Because as long as you have a job, but here's the thing. The problem is when you have a job and you make more money, what else happens? Your taxes go up because you're
Hmm.
going to pay more taxes. Okay. Then you start thinking, because I got more money now, I deserve a better lifestyle.
Nah, you need to stay where you're at.
So you don't stay where you at. Okay. But anyway, I like that. So here, that's a wake up call on that, the income. Now, the next one is the pattern. Now, this says the middle class. Now, this is a typo because see, this one right here is actually a pattern of a wealthy person. Because what the wealthy person does is that he has real estate, but he's not he has real estate, but the real estate is income producing. So he's buying a duplex and he's renting them out. He
Right.
still has real estate, he still has a mortgage, but it's generating income. And because it's generating income, therefore that's an asset. He has stocks which are generating because they're increasing. Okay. He has bonds, which is getting interest. He has notes. He could have notes where he's lent money out to people and now he's collecting it back again. That's generating income. Or he can have intellectual property. Now, intellectual property are things that is created with his brain that are continues. Like, for instance, if you're an author, you write books, that's the intellectual property because it can generate, that's an asset, generates income.
Right.
Okay. If you do music and you have a song that's out there and that song is producing sales, that's an income thing. So that's what the wealthy do. Okay. Next, let's see if I can go to the next one here. This is the middle class. So the middle class, they have a job, they normally have a larger salary. And then they take that because they got that larger income, and then they go out and they buy a home, but that home has a mortgage. And then they buy nice cars, but those cars have a car loan.
Yep.
And then they have credit cards. As long as they're paying their payments on
Yep.
time, they're getting credit cards, and then they will increase your balance and I mean increase your limit based on your history. So if you're making your payments all the time, but all of a sudden your balance starts to creep up, what they're going to do is that they're going to increase your loan amount, okay,
Hmm.
to help you to help your credit rating, but also to allow you to get into more debt. Okay. And the last kicker of all is student loans. See, I thought that going into the military, that was going to help me because the promises that now I did
Yeah.
get my bachelor's free
Right.
because going to Annapolis. So I did get that. And that's the one thing I did get from the military that was free. And it was valued at $270,000 way back, because I even got paid during the time point. So that was it.
Yeah.
But I missed out on my GI loan because they changed it to a GI to a Montgomery build loan. And I was over in Japan. And when I came back, it had expired.
Mm.
So I didn't get that. And then so when I decided to become a teacher and the NCLB Act of 2001 required us to have masters, I had to go to become a teacher in order to get that job. I had to go get a master's. I had to go get a master's to the tune of $37,000 in student loans. Okay. And then to extend the way a teacher's income works is that if you stay in the same school, that's the first thing. This is how the game plays. You stay in the same school district. because you build longevity. And then you go to school, keep getting educated,
Mhm.
adding more college credits. Then you column jump. When you do those two things, your pay increase. So for 20 years when I taught, my income went up every year. Even during the big crash of 2007 and 2008,
Mhm.
my paycheck increased because I stayed in the same district and I kept going to school and kept, then I got one master's and then I got my doctorate and then I got my other master's. So by the time I was finished, and people say teachers don't make any money. Well, I was making $121,000 a year as a high school teacher in the classroom and not an administrator. Okay. But the bad part about it, see that SL down there, that student loans? I
Mhm.
brought those into retirement. And I was saying, oh, I'm not worried about it because they said that you have a public service loan forgiveness program. Oh, wow. I worked over 15, 16 years in the military and I taught in school. So I said, I'm not worried about when I retire. I just apply for the PSLS and then have them take care of it.
They say
And
you don't qualify.
yeah, because one, they want you to be on a certain payment scale. And if you're not on that payment scale, on that payment plan, then your years of paying don't count. And now the new administration just come up just recently, I just heard in this week, they put a pause on it. So the biggest fear for me on that is the next caveat. They also said, oh my, like Joyce, she said, well, don't worry because of the current law is that if you die, then it's done. Well, you know what I smell coming down the road? I think they're going to say, oh no. So what does that mean? That means if you die single, you're good because there ain't nobody they can go and try to attach things with except that's what's in your estate. But if you're
Right.
married and you're in a community service state, a community property, guess what? You can have student loans and die. That means your spouse is going to be stuck with them. That's not
Well,
good.
well, like I still have student loans and that I'm paying off, and it's a little bit ludicrous because the college no longer exists, but I'm still responsible for these student loans.
Student loans. Yeah.
And it's just like, how does that even work? Like seriously, like the school went under because of COVID and every daggone thing else. It no longer exists, but you're saying I still owe this money. To who? To
Well,
who?
the reason you still owe it is because the loan was a federal backed loan.
Yeah.
That's why. So virtually, you're borrowing the money from the federal government, and the federal government pays the school. The school can go out of business. You're still on the hook. But again, see, now
Yep.
you're a perfect example. So the whole thing about being a vet and being able to use veteran benefits to pay for our school loans is a
Mhm.
lie. It don't
Yeah.
work. The only way it works is that if you active duty and you use that tuition assistance program where you go to school there
While
and
you're
use
on active
that,
duty.
that
Yep.
works. That works because I've used that. I didn't use, I had my buddies that wind up getting promoted over me. And I realized that they were going to school to get their masters and stuff, and they did it doing that tuition assistance program. Smart, but ain't nobody told me about this. So any of you
Right.
veterans out there, you want to go to school, you want to make sure you get it, you better go ahead and use that tuition assistance. But that is the middle class. We made money, we had mortgages, car loans, credit card debt, and school loans, and it goes out in expenses. That is what we're talking about there. So that's what I took out of that book, the most important thing. The one thing that I liked on here when it talked about on the wealthy is that they have real estate. So now I'm looking at my situation now. So by his definitions in that book, you talked about wealthy and they also talked about rich.
Hmm.
A wealthy person is a wealthy person by and his definition in the book is that if you're making more than what you're taking in, you're virtually wealthy. Whereas the poor, you're just the opposite of that. Okay. But on here is I'm looking at and I see how my financial situation is now in comparison to when I was 50, so 20 years ago. 20 years ago, I was in the poor position. Okay, that's exactly everything coming in, going out. That's exactly where it was. Then within 5 years after being a teacher, then I was in the middle class situation because I had the car and I had the mortgage and everything else. But as things progressed, especially when I got together with Carolyn and her different mindset way of thinking about things, I am in the situation where, if you want to call this that, what I do have is this. I do own real. I say I have real estate. I don't own income producing real estate, but my real estate is an asset because I don't have a mortgage.
Yep.
Okay. The next thing, stocks. I have a Charles Schwab account. I started putting a little, every time I got a pay raise, I would take that extra money for the pay raise and start putting in the Charles Schwab account. So I have a stock account. So every day I'm on my cell phone looking at my stocks and stuff. So I've been putting money and stuff I have there. I have bonds. I have certificates of what we call them, like certificates.
The freaking
What they used to
CDs.
call, yeah, CDs, virtually CDs. As CDs, or I'm sorry, like Navy Fed, they are certificates. So I have
Yeah.
certificates which are there and they're accruing and they're producing income, and I put them there and I don't even touch them. Okay.
Yep.
I
I know what
have
you're talking
intellectual
about.
property.
I do the same thing with freaking USAA, where I have a couple of CDs, certificate of deposits, 3 and 5 year ones, where I invest and just leave it, don't touch it.
Yeah.
Um, I just remembered I have a high yield savings account that I don't even freaking use. I need to start adding more money into it. I
Yeah.
have freaking
Even if
American
it's
Express high yield. I need to, like I said, I need to put more into it because it's got some godly freaking percentage rate right now, at like 3.5 or something like that
I
they
know
give
I have
away.
schools first, and they have a summer saver program because normally teachers pay is once
Yeah,
a month, and I get paid 11 months. So what you do, the smart thing is that I had money taken out each of the 11 months to put aside so that during that last month, like in July, I would have a
yeah,
paycheck. So
yeah.
their summer saver program is like 4.8% is what they pay. So
Nice.
so every month I've been having that come out. So when I retired, I'm getting paychecks every month, from my three sources. But on that, I just left it like it was.
Yeah,
So it's like a habit of saving. Once you start having it taken out,
you
it's a
don't miss
habit.
it.
So I
Yeah,
just
you don't
started
miss it.
increasing it. So I started out with $25 the first time, and then I went to 50. And then I went to 75, and then I did that. So right now I'm at like $700. It comes out of my paycheck every month. Right now I'm about ready to boost it up to about like a grand a month. So those are the things, assets of things that we want to be able to work on.
Yep.
Um, okay, so we virtually talked about a lot of these things. Let me kind of go into a little bit on generational wealth. Okay, so I mentioned before that of all the things that we need to do is is making sure we get ourselves screened. So we want to make sure we get ourselves screened. And this is one way of doing it is with Lifeline screening. So me and Carolyn are both getting ready to go and do that. And they have a package that checks out four different things. The main thing
Mhm.
on this is checking out your aortas. You got the three, the one up here, the one up here around your heart, and the one in your stomach, your gut. It checks those out for the most part. But it also has a men's package. So it's like $159 for the four things that you're doing.
Mhm.
Again, that's tax deductible. But I would highly recommend. But they have a package which is for men, and the package for men also does the PSA in the whole package. So I highly recommend that for men. Whether you have, I mean, I think it's like 200. Last time I looked, I think it was $249 for that package. You can deduct it from your taxes, but it's well worth it. So
Right.
I don't care whether the person has insurance or not, they can go ahead and use that. So for those which are watching, if you can actually click on the screen or go here to that bit.ly lifeline scan, you'll be able to go right there and you can actually get access to it. So that was the one thing I want to do. The last thing I want to end up on here was talking about, so we've been talking about wellness and we've been talking about legacy. So here are the different things, examples on, um, yeah, these are the different examples of income. So these are assets. These are things that we want to start to collect and have. So we got earned income, profit income for small business, interest, we talked about those. Dividends comes from our stocks and mutual
Yeah.
funds. Rental income. Now, I would much rather put my income in the other ones. I actually did a rental because I actually rented one of the houses we got. But if you get an idiot in there, then it really becomes a pain in the
Yeah.
ass. It,
I, I, I was gonna say I always
yeah,
told Misty the only way I had to do a rental property was if I hired a rental management
rental
company.
management. You're right. So I much rather right now go the other means at my age. I ain't got no time or patience. Yeah, and it's a good thing I don't live in Texas. Everybody's packing. But now I see here the residual and passive income. And this one talks about affiliate marketing and memberships and where you can earn while you sleep. Social Security and pensions, I have those. Miscellaneous, I don't. I'm not good at the lotto. I do okay in the casinos, but I stay away from it. I think I probably maybe go maybe once a year if that. Now it's almost like once every 2 years if I get a chance to
Right.
go. I just
Yeah.
I do it for entertainment. I only take money that I can that I've spent and what I've seen so many people get in that trap that they're going to go there and earn money. Anytime you got to go there because you need to earn the money is when it's going to take you to the bank.
The only
Every
time I ever went to Vegas is because Misty was winning the contest, and so she'd win the contest. We'd go to Vegas, and
cool.
we would have a set amount that we would already know that we're going to spend. Once we reach that limit, that's it.
That's it. That's it. That's the
That's
best
it.
way to do it. That's the
And
best way to
something
do
else
it.
that I learned early on too is what a lot of folks don't do that you should do is like say play the slots and stuff like that, right? Once you hit, cash your
Yes,
butt
yeah.
out.
Yes, absolutely.
Cash out. As soon as you hit, cash out.
Yeah. That's exactly what I did.
Put that freaking ticket away,
Yeah,
act like it doesn't exist, and go back to your, you know what I'm
yeah.
saying, bunch of
And
money
never
that you
cash the
still had to
ticket.
play.
Yeah, that's what I would do. I would take the money and put it in. The machine hits, I take the ticket and I go. That ticket goes upstairs and I do not go back
Hmm.
to that ticket. And that's
And
how
the
I
tickets
do
get
every
cat
day,
and the tickets get cashed out the day I
cashed
leave.
out. And so what I average in that case by doing that, uh, the lowest I've been is virtually 87%. So whatever 87% of whatever I spent, I cash back and I just take that
Hmm.
money and it goes right into the bank. Okay. Sometimes I'm over it. Okay. But
Yep.
for the most part, I can expend 15% for the entertainment. So I do that. So those are the income. So generational wealth. This is what we're talking about. It refers to the assets, property that are passed down from one generation to the next, creating long-term financial stability and opportunities for family members. So it's often called family wealth or legacy wealth because it allows future generations to start life with financial advantages. See, my dream of one of the things here is to create a system here that we're going to pay off our student loans. And then what we're going to do, we're going to take that money that we were paying to our student loans and we're going to put it into an educational trust. And that educational trust is going to be there so that our our descendants, in your case, you have the two younger boys and everything else, okay, that's still coming up the pipe. So
Yep.
what's the oldest? How old is Thor? Marquitas.
Marquitas will be 12 this year.
Oh my God. So he's 12.
He'll
Okay.
be 12, and then Mia will be 10 next year.
Okay. All right. So there we go. So here's our motivation, and here's my motivation. I'm glad I asked that question. So he's 12. So my goals that I had already set up was for me to get done with anything concerning those loans in 3 years, was to build up the business such that's there. And at that 3 year point, is that well, take that money that I was spending on the loan plus the new income that I've created that goes into the educational trust so that when they want to go to school, then we'll take the funds out of the educational trust and they never have to actually incur student loan. Okay. That's the plan on that. Okay. So there's the thing. Uh, good. Love that. Key components we talk about. So we're going to be talking about assets, education, the financial literacy. That's what we're going to be doing together. And part of that is what we're going to be doing on the show. So for all of our listeners out there, if they're listening, here's the reason to continue listening to our show. Because this show is about building a legacy and building generational wealth. So when you're tuning in every week, you're going to learn a little bit more. Insurance and estate planning, I actually have my licenses. I had my licenses concerning insurance and stuff. But this thing about life insurance, wills, and trusts, I mentioned earlier that we're going to go ahead and get you set up as I'm doing mine.
Hmm.
And so we're going to talk about that. Business ownership, that's why I created Annapolis Creed LLC. The business and the corporation is already started. Okay. And it already is starting to have income siphoned up into that, but that income is going to go up. And also real estate. As I mentioned, I don't have a mortgage. Okay. So the idea is to be able to pay down the houses and stuff that we got so that we create those assets, and those are things we're going to work on. And why? Because we want to give future generations a head start. We want to have them avoid student loans, also avoid the burden about purchasing a home. We want to allow them to build financial security. We want to be able to create a legacy and ability for funding future goals, okay, about doing things, about us being able to give back as the income is generating. We will be able to pick charities or nonprofit organizations that we want to funnel money into. Like one thing I'm thinking about here was an organization called the 100 Men Club, where in the community areas where they had young black men, they were pulling together to get them off the streets. So now I'm talking about creating a course, a master course that I've started the framework on. It's called Legacy. It's called Building a Legacy Masterclass. That's an asset. So the stages that you go through as we're going to build this out, and this is what's going on. First we're going to do is get involved in what we call affiliate marketing. Affiliate marketing is something, a product that somebody else has that they give me permission to market. Just like for instance, the like with Lifeline, okay? Anytime we give a referral and stuff off that, and someone who happens to sign up with that service, that can be like an affiliate. I have other things that we're doing that I have already set up. I have 11 passive income streams that I have already set up that we're going to be executing here doing this next year. Uh, but what happens, you use their stuff first. But
Right.
while we do it, the most important thing on building the business is that we're going to build a list of clients. So before I refer anyone to any affiliate offer, we're going to set up a situation where we are collecting their information, their email, their contact information on our list. And the reason is this. If the business or the other affiliate falls out, I don't care. You want to know why? Because the business is in the list. Okay. That's why when I first started out, I started out with my books, and I've been doing my books and marketing them on Amazon. The problem is Amazon's virtually getting 55% of whatever anytime the profit and stuff when I'm selling a book. The other
Right.
thing is Amazon knows who the customer is. I don't know who the customer is. I don't know who bought my book through Amazon
Because Amazon maintains their list.
because Amazon maintains that list. So when you start out, in other words, but I will have to say, it gave me a platform that made it easy for publishing my books and everything. It was a learning experience for me. But also, I know that the profit is not with them, so the profit is setting up. So now I have a Shopify store. So all my books, the 11 books that I have right now that I've already done, all those books are already set up in an online store, which is the Annapolis Creed store. So those are books to be sold. So once we have all the marketing and everything else with our customer client list, as we build in it, then I'm referring them to our bookstore where they're going to buy books or the merchandise and stuff. They're going to be able to buy that. And that's all. Every time everybody has a check, the check goes into Annapolis Creek. Okay. When I die, what happens? Annapolis Crete is a corporation. It lives and continues to exist. Annapolis Crete right now is like an LLC. It may wind up, I would probably say, as the income streams start to pour in. Okay. When I'm really saying, said when the income stream starts to pull in, when it starts to be at the four-figure mark, that's probably going to, I'll probably wait till the five-figure. When it's at the five-figure mark, $10,000 per month, then that business I'll probably convert it to the full corporation because then that way I can distribute shares. But the corporation continues to exist even long after I die.
Right.
And then it passes on. So that means because everything I'm teaching you, a part of this business structure and everything else, is what we're going to be doing with Lil Jordan. Now, Lil Jordan, the first thing him, he with him having his job, does he have a job now?
Not right now.
Okay. All right. So the whole thing is we're going to be teaching him. So hopefully with him, uh, we can have him follow on these things on the affiliates and stuff that we're setting up. So as I set it up, then I can just set it up for him and he can duplicate it and he manages it. That way he knows how to run those things.
Right.
So when something happens, it just passes on. And the same thing for the other two. The other two, when they come up, they're going to college. And then that's the fund, the college fund, in order to do that for them, to help them. But we're going to do it differently. They're going to go to college for a reason, for a specific thing that they're looking for to participate in. So our bottom line is that we're going to create a legacy, the ability to fund our future goals. And the main big part of it is going to reduce the financial stress. We're going to break the cycle of living paycheck to paycheck forever. That's where we're going. And with that, I think we've had a mouthful. So, any questions? Where are we at? How do you feeling?
Uh, I'm all right. Probably need me a nap.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's Saturday afternoon. Oh, so preseason's already started. All right, so
Speaking of preseason,
yeah,
did you get to see Dion's son, Shador,
yeah.
play
No, I
yesterday?
didn't get a chance to see him, but I got it on my phone. I know
Yeah.
there's been so
Yeah.
much hype. I've been getting something on him on Smart News on my phone
Mhm.
every single day ever since the draft.
Because they
So,
tried to do that young man dirty.
yeah,
There
they
was
did.
no reason for him to slip to the
Yeah,
fifth round.
yeah,
There was no reason for Cleveland to take Dylan Gabriel if they had any plans on taking Shador,
yeah.
because now they look like idiots
They got
because
four
they had
quarterbacks.
because check this out. They literally tried to set him up.
Yeah.
They had him start last night with the third and second string players against the Panthers' first string.
Who? Wait a minute. Who are you talking about? Dylan?
No, Shador. So they gave Shador to start, but they
Yeah.
rested the starters.
Oh. Wait a minute. Okay.
So
So
yeah, so they
Shador
gave him
did
the start in the preseason game,
with the
but
second
they
and third
rested
string.
with the second and third string.
Oh, okay. And he still did his stuff.
Yes, he did.
All
Two
right. I like that.
touchdowns.
I like
Two
that.
touchdowns.
I like that. That's right. Yeah, he said I'm gonna do my talking on that field.
To the point to where after the game, the head coach was like, we have to admit that we didn't have him necessarily prepared the way we would have wanted to. They got
Yeah.
to put that bullshit out there and say that they, like, y'all know what the hell y'all was doing. You didn't prepare him. You sent him out there with the second and third team. And then what did he do? He did what he always does.
Yeah.
And he showed up on time, got two touchdowns with the second and third string, mind you,
Yeah.
against the first string players.
Yeah.
To the point where when they pulled him out the game, people stopped watching the game.
Yeah.
They were like, "Oh shoot, y'all done pulled him out. Now ain't no point in keep watching." You know what I'm saying? Let me
Yeah.
turn the game off now. Ain't no point in watching. He done led these boys to a freaking preseason victory and wasn't supposed to. And
Yeah.
then so the head coach was like, they basically said that he's gonna end up getting more snaps now. I wonder why.
Yeah.
Uh, with the first team. Oh, really?
Really?
Yeah, because I think Shadur just went from being, they had him listed as being the fourth string going
Hmm.
into the game yesterday.
Yeah, everything had him on
Something
as a fourth
tells
string.
me, something tells me if he's not listed as the starter, which he probably won't be, he'll probably at least be listed as the temporarily number two as the backup for now, is what I'm thinking. Just
Yeah.
by the way he did play. Now, was he perfect? By no
No.
means. Is there room for improvement? You better believe it.
Yeah.
But did he play like a fifth round pick? Hell
No.
no.
No. Yeah.
Not at all.
That was good. I was
Not at all.
glad to hear that. Glad to hear what he was doing there.
I'm
So
glad to hear that. You know what I'm saying? He was happy. Even though he thinks that he could have did better, which lets me know that, hey, he's humble. I do understand now, after hearing him talk multiple times last night, what some of the concerns may have been. He's just nonchalant. It's like nothing bothers him. And I think that's what a lot of coaches and staff didn't like, was he is literally unbothered. no matter the situation, no matter the hype, he is literally just even kill, unbothered. Just like, yeah, I got out there, made a couple plays, but I could have did better. I just give me the opportunity, and I was thankful and grateful for that. God bless, thank you for that. And every time I get out there, I'm gonna do the best I can and just try to do better to learn. And it's just like, hold on, wait. They don't like the fact that he is just unbothered.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, we're a family, man. We're out here to, what I'm saying, fight for each other, play for each other. We're a family. And I don't think they're used to any quarterback talking like that
Yeah.
or just being just no matter the situation, no matter how big the situation is, he is literally unfazed. He doesn't care. He just wants to play football.
Just play football. That's right.
He wants to play football and
Just
try
play.
to win.
Yeah.
That's it. That's all that matters to him.
And without the distraction of his father. So I know.
That part.
Yeah.
That part. Like to the part where someone tried to get mad at him because he didn't want to sign some autographs. And like he said, I came here to play a game today. I
Right.
didn't come here to sign autographs.
That's
He
right.
was like, as far as I'm concerned, that's not really a good look. I'm preparing for a game right now. I'm focused on that. We can sign autographs after the game.
Yeah.
He
That's
said,
right.
but before the game, nah,
No,
my mind is somewhere else.
mine is somewhere else.
And like someone tried to get mad, I thought to myself, yeah, no, I like that attitude.
Yeah.
He's locked in, like, yeah, nah. Be like, hey, I'll take a picture with you, but yeah, I ain't signing nothing before the
Mhm.
game.
I actually like that. So because we both love football
Oh
and the
yeah.
teams and stuff. I know. And then, yeah, now this is gonna build up to the Army Navy game too. I've been
Oh.
trying to convert you for years, but that didn't help. So every week we are going to have to talk about a little football, okay?
Oh,
Maybe
most
about our game
definitely.
of the week. So then what's your team now?
The Rams.
Oh, you are the Rams. Then
Yeah,
we're gonna get along good.
yeah, yeah.
No, those
I'm
Chargers
a Rams
ain't those
man.
Chargers ain't half bad too though.
I'm a
But
Rams man. And
yeah,
so
I like the
so when
Rams.
so a lot of folks is like, oh, you just like the Rams there and went to St. Louis. And I'm like, nah.
Yeah,
I was actually a Rams fan before they even came to St. Louis when
before
they
they
were in
came to St. Louis.
LA the first time. Because for me growing up, being a football fan and playing running back and wearing glasses, I was an Eric Dickerson fan,
All right, so
even
now
as a young kid.
this is going to be good. So we're going to be together talking about the pro team and the Rams and the competition and stuff. Okay,
Yeah. Yeah,
we'll
because
do
as a
that.
matter of
And
fact,
then
I don't know where it is in the house, but I even have a freaking autographed Eric Dickerson photo.
oh wow. Do you also do you ever do fantasy football?
I haven't done fantasy football in years, but I used to.
Yeah.
I used to.
Yeah, I
But I
normally
have
have my
not done
little
it.
hobby of uh DraftKings. I normally do I have done DraftKings a little bit
Hmm.
throughout the season on there. But it's just then, just for the season. After season, I'm gone. So I start out like $100 and I use it the whole
Yeah.
season and stuff. Little dab. I'm sorry. So I think the most I ever
And
did on any one time was I did with $750 I did with one time on there.
woo, nice,
So
nice.
uh,
Yeah.
but if I
I
balance it out, no, I still lost.
yeah, I was gonna say out of all the times, yeah, nah, I
Yeah,
still ain't came ahead when it comes to
they're
that.
all there for sure. So, all right. So, this is going to be good. So we got our things as we are building up and everything. So thinking coming up here next week, I think I'm going to talk about those legal documents,
Okay.
about the trust in each one of those, the trust, all those things, about the will, about the living trust, about the advanced health things, those legal documents for the
Mhm.
estate. I think we'll talk about those this next week.
Okay.
And then I'll give you the links and everything else. Matter of fact, I probably set them up for the links that I can send out to our listeners, so the listeners can actually start to do that themselves. Because part of it is going to be taking inventory. Okay, so you're going to need to take an inventory. So once you do that, then you're going to actually take an inventory. So it's going to take about a week to get it done, a week to 2 weeks at that. I mean, really, I can actually knock it out in a week. Um, but in the meantime, what you could do is start to organize the folder. Probably Misty already has it. that
I was gonna
has
say
all your
9 times out of 10,
liabilities.
Misty has it
Yeah, she
already
probably
somewhere.
has it. So all your liabilities and everything else, all your insurance policies and stuff with their you need the amounts for the insurance, who's the beneficiaries, and also the amount and the premium. That's it. So all that type of information you can start to collect, but then we'll get together next week and on next show, and we're going to talk about how to set up the estate. And this is going to be important because as we move forward, we're going to need to make sure that that's set up correctly so that we can add the shares and everything else in from the company up under the corporate structure. So that's in there. Because the main thing is, well, that's to make sure that everything passes. Okay. Um, when my mom died, when she died, the problem was because she didn't have a will. That caused a lot of problems. And the
Right.
other thing was that the other biggest lesson I learned on that was on your bank accounts. See, when my mom died, only her name was on that bank account, which meant that without a death certificate that takes time to get, or a without a will, you're susceptible for that's going into probate, which means that you can't get to it right away. And that's the problem. When someone dies, you want to have money assets available so that you can pay for those final expenses. Like right now, if I die, I already have one policy that's from AARP, which is roughly, I think it's like $10,000. That's policy specific for final expenses. Okay. But you really want to be able to get to is that if you have the cash, you don't need the insurance.
Right.
So I used to have homeowners insurance, um, home warranty insurance on my house. So if the water heater went out, or
Right.
HVAC, or all that stuff went out, I was paying $700 a year, and it was peace of mind. If something went wrong, I could use it. Okay. Well, I canceled it this last year. The reason is because my water heater is $2,600. I got more than $2,600 sitting around in bank accounts. So I don't need that. Matter of fact, my HVAC systems that houses normally, which mine costs $16,000,
Hmm.
but normally they can go between 12 to $16,000 to replace those brand new. I don't need the home warranty because I got over that amount in there to
There
take
you
care of it.
go. That's what I'm talking about.
So that's how we get ourselves, we want to get ourselves situated to pay for all those things. So some of the things, as we build out your plans, so we need to know how much assets and stuff we need to accumulate, is asking these questions. Like for one, in your house right now, your water heater system, you need to check it out and get a replacement cost for that. The same thing for your HVAC. You need to look at your HVAC and your capability, the size of your unit and everything else. You need to come up with a price of how much is that replacement value. Okay. Because that is setting in a target of money that we want to accumulate. Because
Yeah,
once you
because
get that money accumulated, then you're insulated. It's like it's like peace of mind. It's like
like,
you wake up and it's like Murphy's Law don't hurt you anymore.
yeah, I was gonna say the hot water heater and the HVAC system and all of that stuff because we had the water because the water heater was replaced when we first moved in, so we know how much that would cost, and we had the estimate done to put a new HVAC in already because there used to be one here at one point in time.
Yeah.
And then it's because the house was, you know what I'm saying, ran for it and everything. And then somebody freaking absconded with the freaking condenser. Um,
Oh. Yeah.
uh, back when the house was being used as a rental property before the owner decided to sell it. And so I think for a brand new HVAC, brand new water heater, all of that stuff combined is like 8K, something like that.
8K.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's
how
like
many
eight
square
thousand
feet?
dollars.
How many square
I
feet is the house?
like 14,
1,400. Okay.
1,400.
Well, that's cheap on that HVAC.
Yeah,
But you got a single story.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. I'm
single
just a
story.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, but that's what we need. So like the way I've gotten my because I had my remodeling, and that's the other thing when we're talking about on credit. Once you build your credit up and your credit's right, then you use that power of the credit. Like for instance, so when I got my um I did the floors and did redid my bathrooms and stuff. It was like $15,000. I was able to get it at 0% interest for 18 months. So you know what I did during that 0% to 18-month time
paid
frame?
on it.
I paid it off. That's right. So when it got to 18 month, I'd already paid it off. So I use other people's money. The same thing. My solar system that I got up here, I got the solar up there, but that I have to pay like 100. I just got it. But that's a good investment because
Yeah,
right now that unit is producing more than what I am using. So this
you're gonna
is,
get money back.
it's an asset. Yeah, this is
Yeah,
an
you're
asset.
gonna get
See,
money back.
because when if I go to sell this house, if I go to sell this house, that right there, this HVAC is enough to pay not only for the electric, but also pay enough for the gas.
Yeah,
So it's utility free. Yeah, well, I just added $50,000 to this house by paying that $27,000 on this system that
oh
I'm
yeah,
paying for cash. So it's good to be in that situation. It took time, but it took me a time for I had to wake up. So, but my goal right now is that you're going to achieve that a lot faster. And here's the other good thing. So now you're 49, right?
yep.
You're 49. So I love my house. I have no intentions of moving. The main thing is because I don't have a mortgage and everything else on it. So why do I want to move? And that thing right there, my solar system is producing all my utilities and stuff. So, matter of fact, the utopia may be that it may even produce enough to pay my property taxes.
There you go.
Okay. So that's the only thing I do have is my property taxes. But
Yeah,
that's
my
there.
property taxes just went
Yeah.
up.
Yeah.
Dag nabbit.
But so this right here is part of our generational wealth plan. Because just think about that. So for instance, based on the age, and so not knowing who's living and everything else and stuff like that, Carolyn's older than me, but she can probably still outlive me. But in either case, there's assets and stuff uh, and that's what we want to be able to create. I want to be able to live long enough so that I can have it. Then I have this. So this is a home but you have to be 55 and older in order to live, in order to move in. And we don't take any vagrants in before we're dead. Because our spare bedroom is at the Holiday Inn
There you
down in
go.
the sea. That's just how it is. All right. I have enjoyed it. You seem like you're in a lot better spirits, at least with your arm and everything else. So
Yeah,
we'll
freaking
get
I
through
just
it.
got her in this. Yeah, freaking I got her in the sling still from time to time, and then freaking I'll take her out of the sling, prop her up on a pillow, stuff like that. It was just one of those. It's just one of those things where I'm weaning myself off of the pain meds.
Yeah. Okay. That's
So like
good.
this is the last day of the pain meds. So I've been trying to go longer in between taking the medicine, trying to wean myself off. So it's been rough these past couple of days, but I definitely am in better spirits than I was last week. And every day it gets a little bit better because I know every day I'm one day closer to recovery. So
All right. All right. Sounds great. All right, son. I'll see you next week as we continue then.
see you guys next week.
All right. See you next week. All right.
All right.
Bye-bye. Love
Bye
you.
bye.
All
Love you.
right. Give my best to the wife and my grandkids. Okay.
I will. All
Okay.
right.
All right. Love
Bye.
you.
Yeah. Jordan's in the house. Come on. Get up. We're sitting here like this again, talking about what should have been. You roll your eyes like you just don't care. Let's get the check, cause I'm up out of here. If you won't change, I won't change. And everything remains the same. And I won't play this losing game, cause that's what love goes down the drain. Oh, come compromise. Let me give you just a little advice. Love wears such a thin disguise. It should come at no surprise. Come compromise. Once bitten, twice as shy. It's a case of roll the dice. So reach up in and compromise. Compromise? I don't think so. It's not a war, we wanna fight. There ain't the way to put things right. It's not about who's keeping score. Let's talk about it, don't close the door. If you won't change, I won't change. And everything remains the same. And I won't play this losing game, cause that's when love goes down the drain. Oh, come compromise. Let me give you just a little advice. Love wears such a thin disguise. It should come at no surprise. Come compromise. Once bitten, twice as shy.